Hello, guys. Hello, everyone. Welcome to I would say, first ever edition of the Funky Marketing Podcast. I'm Nemanja, your host, CEO of Funky Marketing, and this is the podcast where I will be hosting my friends, so professionals from the industry, marketeers, business developers, CEOs, leaders, even designers, good people before everything, where we can talk a little bit about what they do, how do they do it, and just get you a little insights in all of it and share with you a little knowledge. Today with me is my brother and good friend, Yaag. Yaag is, how do we define it? There's so many things that we can say about him. I would try to do it. Yaag is among the top 100 global martech influencers, a TEDx speaker, a best-selling author, so a familiar name overall in the martech, author of the 7 books, which is really like wow. Writes for major global publications, consults startups across APAC in Europe, speaks on the major global conferences, and I mean, he's just a nice guy. Yaag, welcome to the podcast, and tell me if I presented you right.
Hey, thank you so much, Nemanja. It's so much fun being with you here. You know, sometimes when you read all of these things, it looks big. At the end of the day, I was just having fun and things happen to fall together in place. So such a pleasure talking to you, brother. You know, it's always fun being with you.
Yeah, I have the same feeling when somebody describing me, talking about me, like, is this really me or it's somebody else? But tell me, for the start, I usually want to get to know the person. So, and it's good that you and I didn't talk about it ever, like before. How did you get to this point? How did you start? Who is Yaag before business, before books, before everything?
Right. So I think nothing much has changed from there to now. I mean, except for the business part. From that time to now, I'm still an introvert. It's something when I tell people, they find it hard to believe that you have so many friends and you chat up with people on social media. You make one-to-one relationships. Yes, I do all of that, but I'm in this confined space. This is where I do most of my work. So I recharge when I'm alone. So what happened was I was doing my bachelor's in computer science, and in my second year, in my sophomore, I did realize that I'm not going to be good at coding. And see, in my life, everything has happened through a sequence of eliminations. I get into something, and then very soon I realize that this is not for me, and I get out of it. One of the things, it started because when I was in my school, long back, I was somebody who was looked at as somebody because of which the school is going to lower the reputation, get the lower score because I was not great at studies. But at that point, for me, the biggest realization was that I was cursing myself for taking up the wrong electives and the wrong groups, because I was not interested in subjects at all. So at that point of time, I quickly realized that I'm not going to do anything that's not keeping my interest, and that has continued all through my life. And then after my bachelor's, I decided, let me do MBA, because that seems at least something that I can relate to, because that's more towards business, and that's more of common sense. And even until my second year of MBA, I did not even think that I would take up marketing. It just happened that I was sent on an internship with a company that was into insurance, and I was actually doing door-to-door insurance selling, and sometimes not even insurance selling. What happened was I was supposed to appoint insurance advisors, and I used to go to remote tea shops in the southernmost part of the country, and I used to sit up and listen to what people are talking, and pick up names, because I cannot directly go and ask people. Otherwise, in the remote villages, people would look at me in a weird way as if somebody has come from the outside. So I have to ask them by name. So I used to pick up these names. When I used to pay back my bills, I used to ask hey, where is this person? And then go to their houses, and then eventually start doing that. And then much later, I recognized that that's pretty much the fundamental of what influencer marketing is identifying the headmasters and the postmasters who are influential in that particular area and practically doing that. So, and from there, the interest in martech also came in because I was as you grow older and older, there are lesser and lesser things that you want to do. And so I was like, going on confining the set of things that I don't like. And even till date, there is so much in my work that I want to give up, and I'm even slowly from there I'm moving towards content now. It was like marketing, and that was martech, and within martech now it's come to content.
I like it. I like it a lot. It reminds me of my story in a way, because like I was studying marketing, but I didn't want to study marketing. So, because my mother always wanted me to go into economics, like banking, mathematics, those kind of things. And I had zero interest in that. I have like out of from 1 to 5 marks, I have 2 from mathematics and from physics, just to have an excellent grade, and that was my only effort connected to that. So, okay, we found like a way to do it, and found like I wanted to learn about geography, tourism, something like that. So it was like tourism on the Faculty of Economics in Belgrade, like the bigger city, but I didn't get on the state budget, so I needed to go to the smaller city niche, and they didn't have that department over there. So I ended up in marketing. And I didn't realize what marketing is at the time. I connected marketing just with advertising, as a lot of people today still are doing. And I learned zero about marketing over there. So in the second year, I quit for like 10 months and moved to non-formal education, civil education, to learn something about marketing, about life, to help others. And this is where I learned what marketing really is, totally different. And while I was doing that, like while I was studying, my friend asked me to join him on a side job, but it was like for just to see how much electricity the household spend. And so we went from house to house, but to check all of that, you need to come into the house. Some of those people have dogs. Some of those people are hiding the keys under the rocks. Some of them are even watching porns in 7:30 in the morning. Man, it was like hilarious. And you need to come up with the skills to talk to all of those people. So this is where I learned communication. And it's kind of funny. You learn those things that are your main attributes in so many different ways, in so many different situations, that you have no idea that you are actually learning it.
Yeah, absolutely. The amount of learning that I've had from people, outside of the classrooms, is what I've had. Like, so, I totally agree with you. In fact, it has given me a structure originally, but where the more I get exposed to the real world, I get to realize that how much of those frameworks that were initially given to us are purely based on assumptions and not relevant anymore.
Yeah, that's something that I'm noticing every day. I don't consider myself somebody who has, I have experience, but I don't have in-depth experience of all the things. But when I talk to people who are calling themselves professionals, experts, and I do it on a weekly level, I'm fascinating how much things that I know that they have zero clues about it, and I guess this is the kind of world that we are living in. You can call yourself whatever you want, but I don't have a problem about it. As long as you say, okay, I don't know everything about it, so I need still to learn a few things, and that's okay. And even if we move the conversation slowly in the content part and all those things, I ended up in content by creating content. It was something that I've been doing my whole life, and telling stories, writing stories. I was the child who is playing with himself when I was a kid. I guess that's where it started. So how did you get into the content? I mean, writing books and everything else. How did that come up?
Yeah, to me, it was more like, when I was just out of my college, what happened was I had actually gotten a job in a logistics company in Dubai. And, before even my college was done with, actually the job got called off 2008. It was a recession. And I was like, I thought this is the time. I'm young, like, let me do a set of things on my own. Let me try instead of applying for a job. And then I used to run my own company in the parallel time. I'm somebody who is very curious and who loves to try hands into pretty much everything. And believe me, like, I used to write poems and sonnets when I was in my school much earlier. And so at some point of time I was just thinking, hey, you know what, why can I not write a novel? And my first book was actually a fiction book. It was a romantic thriller. In fact, I was surprised that there were about like 800, 900 people who actually ended up buying the book. And I was like, wow, this is magical. And then but then thereafter what happened was I started to blog a little bit. Then I was starting to back then LinkedIn was not much of posts. It was more about group based conversations. It was smaller communities, and they were having stringent rules. And then came the era of posting articles on LinkedIn, so I was trying a bit of that. And then one fine day my publisher told me that, hey, you know what, Yaag, you speak in the world of marketing, like you work in marketing, and pretty much whatever you do, and whoever has known you for this. And if you are going to write fiction books, I'm not going to publish you. But instead, if you write marketing books, I'll publish you for free. And I was like, okay, that's a nice deal. And I gave it a shot. And see, he was also being nice enough because he recognized that things could be actually pulled together. And in fact, that became the title of my first marketing book. The book was called Is Your Marketing in Sync or Sinking? I was at a phase where I was actually thinking, am I doing things sensibly? Am I in sync with myself, or am I sinking? And that's how books came into being. So, and then when you look at it separately, it looks like, okay, he has spoken, he has written books, he consults, he also loves content marketing. But in fact, it's pretty much the same thing, taking different kind of expressions. So podcast was also pretty much the same, right? So between me and Manish, we kind of started coffee conversations. We used to work in the same company in the past, and every morning we met for coffee. And we used to pretty much discuss a lot of things in the world of marketing. And one fine day, we decided, why not put a camera to our conversations? And then we started putting out on LinkedIn, and it started working. When the point we realized when it was really working was, every Monday we used to post this. And certain Mondays when we got a little bit lazy, we said, hey, let's do it next Monday, man. Today, not in the mood. And we used to get people who pinged us and asked, hey, Yaag, I was waiting for your coffee conversations. Why is it not up? And then we just, wow, this is working, man. Let's do something about it. And then gradually that we thought we'll expand that into a different format. And that's how the A-Beam Conversations podcast came into being. And the best part about writing books, best part about writing these articles and podcasts is that I'm also being able to connect with different people around the world. In fact, when I first wrote my marketing book, I always had in my mind that nobody just wants to hear my experience alone. People want to actually know what has worked for each people in their companies. And so I started interviewing a lot of CMOs, CEOs, founders of smaller companies. Interestingly, I connected with one guy called Chris in Netherlands, and he gave me a 20-minute appointment, which became a 2-hour conversation. 6 months fast forward, like we became such good close friends that till date, every year, I visit him and spend at least 10 days with him. So similarly, with you and also with Ivan at Funky Marketing, like I've developed those very well-knit relationships, be it Zenab. So it's the community of marketing itself is so amazing that if you have content, you start networking through that content, and then you realize that there is a lot more common between the people than what you would think, beyond whatever countries they are.
I agree, and so many good things you said over there while talking. I mean, it's just happening with us as it's happened to you with your podcast. Me and Marty didn't do B2B Weekly this week because we are doing it live with the audience, and like we just decided, okay, we are too busy. I'm preparing a wedding. He is preparing things to go to the next level and move to the US, something like that. And we just didn't do it, but we didn't inform people. So we got messages like, is this happening? Are you postponing it for the next week? So, okay, we just decided to end the season 1, and from November, we're starting the season 2. I mean, that's how you see if you are doing the good job or not. And all those things that you mentioned, like creating relationships, are so important. Like some of the people that are visiting our podcast each week are students, but they are here every week. They have this thirst for the knowledge, and I like it. I mean, I was never that kind of guy while I was studying. I was somebody else. And when I see people in that age that are really hungry for the knowledge and to do something, like, who am I not to give them what they want? Exactly when it comes to the clients,
Absolutely.
customers. Yeah.
Right. Just try selling something to them, and next week they won't appear.
Exactly. I mean, that's the point why they keep coming back, because we are giving them value each week and not trying to sell them anything. But they are the ones who are telling people they're two guys that know what they're doing, know what they're talking about. Go ahead and hire them for some things, right?
Absolutely. And, even for us, one of the things that Manish and I also decided when the moment we started our podcast, everybody who were in the growth hacking area and all of that, everybody was talking about getting 1 million subscribers, this, that, and all of that. And first thing that we spoke to each other, we said, let's not put ourselves into pressure by talking about any of those things. We don't want those big numbers. What we want is probably a relevant set of like even 50 to 500 people. It'll eventually grow over a period of time. Let's not worry about it. But if we are talking to a very relevant audience, and if it's growing on its own, that's what is more important. And 2 days before, I was just googling on I was just searching on Apple Podcasts. And when I scrolled past my podcast, I saw that the suggested podcasts were Sangram's Flip My Funnel, and I saw Sweetfish Media, our Logan and team. And then I realized, okay, ABM and these two are also coming up, which means like we are attracting the right kind of audience. And at the end of the day, at least half of the people who listen to us, we also know them by names because they end up chatting with us on LinkedIn as well. So that's the beauty of this.
Exactly. You're creating friends, not the audience. And interesting. I saw that post about the feature podcast that appeared, and also I saw this one that I wanted to bring up. I think it's kind of a good topic to talk about and to get more into content. So you're doing also consulting for some things, and I saw the post that you wrote that a person told you that I want to double my blog traffic in a month. So I wanted to hear your answer. How did you respond, and what did you say? Can you do it, not, or what are some of the things that affect your decision?
Right. So, see, it also depends on whether you can say no to someone or not, depending on where you are in that relationship, right? So, if it's a pure play consulting kind of a conversation, then, I can easily say no. But sometimes, it's also about, this was an experience where I was working in one of my previous companies. And there, this conversation happened between me and there was one team to which I was outsourced to in between to deliver this task. And then this was the conversation there. And I was actually surprised. In fact, I'll also tell you a little more in detail. They did not just say that your job is just promotion and do this, but that team's head was telling me that, hey, don't worry, we know the content is shitty, but make sure that you get this, and all I care for right now is some traffic because I want to raise funds. And I was like, what can I do? But interestingly, you know what, we still ended up getting traffic, we moved from, say, 5,000 views per month to we actually moved to 15,000 in a span of 2 months. But the difference was this: despite there is increase in traffic, the number of signups or the number of conversations that led to product related discussions did not go up. So that which means that content is something that needs to act as a qualifier in itself. So the kind of content that you put up with the quality, when you clearly know who is it for, you'll also start promoting in the right kind of places. And even within the company, you'll talk the very specific language. So how do I talk to the user of a product vis-a-vis how do I talk to somebody who's going to invest on the product versus somebody who's going to influence the decision within the company? So these are three completely different things. And based on whom you're writing this for, your promotional channels will change and the kind of audience that you attract to will change. And if they are the decision maker, they will react to you in a certain way. And if they are not, then you talk about how easy the product is to use, or you talk different languages that appeal to those people. Now, it cannot be a blanket promotion that, hey, this is my target audience, just start promoting. So that will not work. That will not give you the right results.
Yeah, totally. And this thing is happening a lot that you mentioned at first, as the companies want to get traffic just to get investments. I mean, we had also this case working with a company that is in the finance world, when actually the goal was to get people to fill in the form so they can do the market research, but they didn't want to have the form on the website. They just use the Google forms. And imagine like you are looking to invest in something as a private investor, and you go to the form and like it's the Google form. Come on, man. So nobody filled out the form, maybe one or two person, but they got tons of traffic. So we understood that there is an interest. They understood, okay, this is something that we can use to go to investor, and after that we'll just fix the form and everything, and it will work. So sometimes that's also okay. I mean, just because we did that campaign, they are now becoming the long-term client, and they won the competition over there as a startup with that investment. So it was cool. But one thing that came to my mind while I was listening to you is that a lot of people are talking about
account-based marketing.
Account-based marketing, yeah. And look, I think this is not the conversation we should be having, because you need at least like how many 800 accounts, so you can actually say that you're doing account-based marketing. But when I'm thinking about it, it's just like targeting. And if you do content right, I mean, basically, I compare it as somebody who is living in a house with a yard, with a dog and everything else. And if you do the content marketing right, so you're basically sending notification that you are coming over there. So they prepare the meals, they lock down the dogs, they open the gate, they stay in front of the house to welcome you if the content is done right. If it isn't done right, I'm just comparing it to like the Alone in the House movies, when you are the thief trying to get in by any cost. So you are going over the fence, you are trying to skip the dog, you are trying to get in the house, just say, here it is, or like, buy from me. And I mean, that's what content does. It opens the door for you to do your account-based marketing, or just to get into that conversation with the right mindset.
Absolutely. And, the other side of content, other side of ABM is something that, I often find it amazing that different people treat it differently. Like, say, for example, if somebody is having a product that is probably like $10 or $15, and they are competing, say, for example, a typical SaaS product for chat or something like that. Now, what happens is, there are the likes of Intercom, there is the likes of Drift, and there are like n number of products. Now if you're suddenly saying that I'm doing account based marketing, it's to me it's unbelievable, because the cost to do account based, because you have to do something very specific to specific set of people, and be it like you have to have your field marketing work together with you, you have to have your sales people work together with you, you have to have sales enablement together, you have to have your customer marketing and your customer success team working together. You need to know whom your customer support is talking to on a daily basis, and then you do target a set of 50-60 accounts, not more than that, and then go deeper and try to accomplish that for each account. Now this makes sense if the ticket size of your product is probably at least 100K or 50K or something more than that. Now if you're saying that I'm doing ABM, and if you're selling a $10 product, it's actually ridiculous. As you said, no, what you're actually doing is better targeting. That's all. It's not ABM.
Totally agree. I mean, that's it. And not that many people are talking about it. I mean, not that many people are talking about some other things which are not account-based marketing. Like, I'm on the subscribe to each company that is writing about demand generation. And they're only talking about account-based marketing, nothing else, because they are only talking with enterprises, not with somebody else. So, and there's so much space underneath it that not that many companies are trying to fill in. Do you have the same opinion about it?
Yeah. So at the end of the day, ABM, as you rightly said, it makes more sense for enterprises, and that way, if a company is at that level talking about it, that makes sense. But in general, it has become more of a phrase that people have started to just commonly use in their conversation to sound smart. So it's generally, it happens where if you are in a corporate environment, you would see this, that people just go and have a cup of coffee together. They hear some terms here and there, and then they come back and throw those terms to your team just to sound a little smart. That's what is happening with ABM quite a bit. So that's my real feeling when I talk to people. I hear terms like, "Hey, Yaag, can you do RevOps for me?" I'm like, "How can I do RevOps for you?" So RevOps is not a one person's job. You have to understand. You have to, and you're not even a company of a size where you need RevOps. If you are at a particular place, and people tell me that at like 1 million, 2 million, if you're trying to hire a CRO, you're actually wasting your money. You have to actually understand where you are, how do you want to optimize, and before even optimizing, have you even thought about product market fit? A company like Uber still says that they have not achieved product market fit, and what are we saying?
Yeah. Oh, Uber is a good example when it comes to that. Yeah, I totally agree. And one thing I wanted to talk with you about when it comes to revenue ops and those kind of things is how important do you think the culture is for that? The company, like the values, established culture and everything.
So, there's a very famous saying where people say culture eats strategy for breakfast. The fundamental part is, unless, people are always going to deliver what they're measured on. So at the end of the day, if your marketing team is going to be measured on how many MQLs you generate, how much ever you talk of revenue marketing, it's not going to stick, because at the end of the day, your KPIs are slacked against the number of leads that you've delivered. And interestingly, the other day I was having this conversation with Bilal on the podcast, and he was saying that the target given to salespeople and the target that the company is actually chasing are extremely different. In the sense, like he was talking about sales teams, even if they don't hit target, companies end up hitting their revenue targets. So at the end of the day, we are not aligning revenue and splitting into this, but we are just randomly, giving some KPIs for the sake of giving it. So culturally, I think even for marketing, right? So it's important if you say that, at the end of the day, marketing's contribution to revenue has to be so much per quarter. Then what happens is you're going to change the way conversations happen in a company. For example, right now, if I go to my marketing person and I ask, how many deals does your salesperson need to close this quarter in order to hit the revenue target? Chances are that they might not have an answer. But when you go to the salespeople without even looking into the CRM, they are going to tell the name of those 2 or 3 accounts they really want to close right away. And if your KPI is about helping them get that revenue and contribute to that revenue, you're going to go and ask for that and do everything in your capability to help those 1 or 2 accounts close. You're going to do something in sales enablement. You're going to build a case study that suits them, or you're probably going to come up with some specific ROI related calculator to show that how this works for you. It could be anything, but you will do that much so that your salespeople also start to trust you. And that trust equation comes in when everything comes top down. Bottom up, at least when it comes to revenue, is not going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, well said, well said, well said. I mean, I find myself so much in what you're talking about, and I mean, things are changing, and at least I'm seeing that things are changing a bit, not in a way that people are going after SQLs. No, they're still going after MQLs, a lot of them. But when it comes to like marketing, helping sales, I think things are changing a bit because not because sales starts to understand marketing. Sales can do marketing, but marketing people, they don't sell. So they need to understand that other side. And as a marketer, I mean, I don't consider myself as a common marketer, so I get the other side. But a lot of people like marketing because, especially in B2B, when people are selling the high ticket products or services, and it takes a long time for them to be closed. And so the CEO needs to measure their work on something. So they come up with MQLs. And I'm always saying, like, if you want to measure it on MQLs, just do 1 webinar a week. And that's it. You'll get MQLs as much as you want them. Like you can even throw them out on the street. It's that.
Exactly. And also, the other way to look at it is even content marketers. I've not seen any content marketer making an attempt to actually talk to a customer. More often than not, what happens is everybody tends to start with looking at what the product does. They look at the set of features, and then from there they convert those features into pain points and talk about it as solutions. Now, if you're doing that, you're always going to manufacture the pain points, and it's not going to relate. But if you start talking to your customers more, then you know that the reason why people buy a product is completely different. For example, many a time, when I go to do a case study, and I ask the people that, hey, how did you come across our product? And sometimes I hear answers like, what, my CEO is a good friend of your CEO. So, they were just talking and they said, why don't you try this product? Now, how can I go out and say, hey, these 2 guys were friends. That's how this deal happened. No, then the marketer is going to manufacture some story. So it's important for us to actually go about identify the real part and use those stories to good effect. In the sense, like, if I know that it's happening through these kind of referrals, through these kind of conversations, then I can take back that as specific channels where I should be marketing and not wasting money on channels that are not working out. I think that's where mapping back to revenue, mapping back to pain points, and everything is more like a flywheel, right? I'm not just advocating the flywheel, but I'm saying everything works together. It's not the funnel where it's one after the other. People are not going to consume your, say, awareness content, then consideration content, and then, looking at your bottom of the funnel content. No, it's not that linear. Look at a website like Hrefs. It's amazing, right? So they talk about specific pain points. And look, the fantastic thing that I love about them is that they are one of those very rare products that asks people to pay $7 to take a trial of the product. $7 for 7 days. And to have that confidence comes from the fact that everybody who buys a product have consumed their content before. They are not teaching the world what SEO is, what content marketing is. They are talking about specific issues that these people face, and then talking about how to solve those issues. And they're not saying, buy my product. They're saying, these are the set of features within my product which actually solves for this. This does this, so on and so forth. Done. And suddenly you start feeling, hey, this was exactly what I was looking for. Go buy the product. Done.
Yeah. Yeah, hey, this is a great example. Their blog is amazing, and I have seen the video when they are talking about why are they charging $7 a week and those kind of things, and it's great. Just like guys who understand what they are doing, and they are doing it smartly without going towards investors, everything else. Like, we're just gonna work smart. We're gonna tell our stories. We're gonna go after the pain problem points, and that's it. Like, there's no some kind of mysteries over there, and they are very open about it. Like, we do this and this, we try this and this, we fail in this, we succeed in that, and that's how I see like the modern company today that needs to be. And like, okay, sometimes we need also to use storytelling. And what you said, was a good post by Ivan, guys who don't know, like, Ivan Dimitrievich is director of demand gen in my company's Funky Marketing, and he's a guy who has been a long time in content marketing, as a writer, as a team leader, as somebody who was owning a team of content writers. And there is one thing that one post actually that he wrote, which kind of created a conversation about it. And it is like, are people actually reading long-term posts, but not like long-term up to 2,000 words, but up to 5,000 words? Are we actually reading those kind of long posts? I mean, we are certainly finding them in the search engines, but are we actually reading them? So what's your point about it?
Yeah, in fact, I have a live experience with this, right? So in one of the previous companies that I was working for, it so happened that the SEO guy came and told me that, I want you to write 6 articles with about 3,500 words each. And you have to use this keyword 21 times in this, 25 times in this. And I was like, I know you're giving me the formula, but I don't think anybody is going to read that longer content. And secondly, if it starts to, the moment you look at a piece of content, right? So when you look at the H1, H2, H3, and you see certain keywords there, and then you look at the flow of it, in an instant you're going to identify if it was written for people or if it was written for a search engine. So instead we went back and we challenged and we said, we don't want to do this. Instead, why don't we, it was actually a topic about customer support. We said, instead of talking about this way, I will break that probably into, like, say 35-40 topics, and then I'll probably come up with a good learning center where I'll talk about, hey, how do you go about recruiting a customer support person? What do you look for in that person? How do you train them? What is this, what is that, and how to go about something, best practices, whatever, right? So then what happens is, yes, we solve that problem for the SEO guy by dabbling into all those long tail keywords, but at the end of the day, we also wanted to make sure that people are reading it and finding some use into that. If I read a piece of content and if it does not feel like it's talking to me, and if it's purely written for just being found on search engine, like today I can simply tell you that Google any keyword, and the first 4 or 5 links that you get, 90% of the time, they will not have the answers that you're looking for. So
Yeah. I was just doing that a few days ago. That's why I'm laughing. Trying to find a way to create a landing page in Thinkific, and to get that landing page to a WordPress, and it keeps giving me some strange answers. And also what I also did is, I was trying to find a way to do a screenshot in Zoom, and like the first 3 links, even the first 4 or 5, I think, were totally bullshit. Like how to capture videos, basically, and all of them were talking about how do I click record button on Zoom. Like, it's total bullshit.
Yeah, and sometimes, you know what, it's also the point with going after keywords. and going after this traffic, many companies also tend to pick up very irrelevant keywords, which doesn't even make sense to that company. In fact, Tim Sulo of HRFs had very vocally spoken about this. Especially this happened with HubSpot, when HubSpot actually wrote a huge article about how to make GIFs, right? So what do they have to do with GIFs when they're actually selling marketing automation software or CRMs? So at the end of the day, it's about that's why I keep saying that it's important to make sure that your content acts as a qualifier and not as a traffic driver.
There are so many topics around that we can talk for days. I think. Let me ask you, what do you think when we look at the content marketing, when we look at the revenue, when we look at the marketing overall? What do you think is the next step when we also look at the big picture, like with sales, with marketing? A lot of people are saying that they will be united under one thing, like customer success or something like that. What do you think will happen overall? Let's have a prediction and go really bravely towards it.
Well, I really don't think things are going to come together in one roof any sooner, because the problem of alignment has been a problem of ages, and I think it's important for companies to stop looking at each of these companies as customer success, or each of these teams as marketers or salespeople, but rather look at as business problems and how they want to go about solving it. So you have a business objective, and then the business objective is actually divided into a sales goal, a marketing goal, and a customer success goal. Now, when you even when you make these 3 people or 4 people sit together, then what's going to happen is you're only going to drive more volume. Sitting next to the sales guy, I'm going to be forced to drive more leads, but the problem is it's important for us to exchange roles and see what happens there. If a marketing guy gets to sit on customer support for at least first 1 month of his or her job, you get to know what kind of questions you get. You get to know what kind of issues these people are going through on a daily basis. And then that feeds into your content. That feeds into the problems that you will actually talk about and market about. So I think that's what needs to happen. I know I'm not giving you a straight answer, but I really don't think just blindly saying make them one team is going to work any sooner. It has to eventually happen, and it has to be very gradual.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's not going to happen anytime soon. There's still a lot of understanding that needs to happen to not the both sides, but from all sides. I don't think it's just like 2 sides. And I don't know, we'll see. I think we are all on the right track, on the right train, as they say. So we just need to see what's going to happen if we keep pushing in the right directions. And I think things will change. And I don't know. I think a lot of people are now holding back from saying what's on their mind, what are some problems they are seeing, what are some things that they think can work, just because they don't have the right culture in the company, the right values. They start saying it when they come into the right culture, into the right environment. And for majority of them, it's not happening ever, unfortunately. So I still think we need to work a lot in creating that environments around us. And maybe this is the one thing that's the most important.
Absolutely. And it's like, it's also important to, I would also flip this a little bit. I would say that, for a long time, it has been that people are trying to fit into companies. But on the other hand, I think it's extremely important for you to pick the company that you want to work for, or the company that you want to consult to. What I love about your posts on LinkedIn is you always speak about having a choice of whom to work with, and picking up for the right reasons. Because at the end of the day, you want to build that relationship in a longer period. Otherwise, you're going to in about 1 or 2 months, you're going to realize that you've made a wrong decision, and then the relationship is going to go sour. And the best part about doing it right is also that you're going to get referrals from these people, and it's highly underrated. The fact that you get more referrals can be the biggest customer acquisition channel that you can ever have, right? And similarly in terms of people's career as well, now that for example, having spent about 11, 12 years now in the world of marketing, I've become so choosy that there are lesser and lesser things that I really want to do. And now when I look at some of the job portals, or when I look at some of the job descriptions, the moment I read a few words, I know this is not for me. The moment something starts with like, I'm looking for an aggressive demand generation person, I'm like, no, next. So yeah, that's how you are hardwired over a period of time.
The same thing happens to me, and this is exactly why we keep talking about who we want to work with, because a lot of people are coming to us and saying like, it's not the same. We want leads, or we want like we are a small team, but like a lot of them don't have a clue where they want to go, and we know that. We know why we would choose them, and if we choose them and they don't know where they want to go, then they are in trouble, because I'm a direct guy and I'm saying what's on my mind. And you can easily feel like, even though we are not that old, like we started the company in January, but we are very clear about where we want to go and who we want to work with and what do we do. So a lot of people don't have that figured out. I mean, if you want to be realistic, companies define their vision, mission, and values only when they need the first website, but when they need to redesign the first one. And they come up to that question only because they need to fill in about us page on the website. And it's not even funny. It's really sad. And I have seen this a lot in the past few months, and like, man, and what else? All those companies, I'm seeing them disappear in a few months. Some of them already did.
The reason I'm laughing as you say this, because I have exactly written a chapter around this in the revenue marketing book, where I've said that people say they are customer first, and that is only on their walls, where they have some posters or probably some frames, but beyond that it doesn't really happen. Similarly, the values and everything. And what I'm really happy is that you're very clear with the fact that whom you want to work with. It's the biggest clarity that you can ever have. And if you are that person who are helping other companies, and if you don't have that clarity, it would be an oxymoron. So it's amazing. And it's best that you probably get 10 or 12 clients, or not more than that per year, but make sure that you make a huge impact, and they stick with you for years.
One of the things I wanted to mention, just as you're talking about it, and this is the thing that is happening like this week. I was talking with you on how we are aligned where we are with the clients. So like, we have a company which is focusing on, from the software perspective, on like solving the operations, the logistics, using AI to do that. And on the other hand, we have a company which is digital transformation company, which is getting as a partner in the companies and changing all in there, especially when it comes to like digital supply chain, those kind of things, like the huge systems. And like, they are all aligned. We have the same target group for both clients. And then comes another client, which like, there are two guys working in a huge corporation. One is working with developers and using creative methods to work with them. Like, so seeing developers as creative people. And the other one is working in enterprise and trying to use creative methods and bring it into the culture. So we were making fun, like the first one is like the guy who can see a lot of things that nobody else can see. Like, let me tell you a secret, like, I can see dead people, but it's just I can really see what developers are all about. So they are solving problems actually, and like a blade, daylight transformation. And the other guy is totally different. He's just looking at he's using developers techniques to run the enterprise. So like Inception, and they all match together. And there are also some other clients that are coming in, like think tanks working in design thinking and a lot of interesting things. And when now we know who we need to avoid and with whom we need to work with, like they are aligning so nicely one after other, and we are not only working with them as a client but also like pitching other clients together. And this is what you and I were talking about on LinkedIn also, like where do we go, what's the next step, what's the lifetime of a client. It can be a very high goal if you know who are you working with and what do you want to achieve.
Yes, yes, absolutely. It's you also, it's important to earn that confidence where they are ready to sit down and share their vision and see you as a partner and together accomplishing that, than looking at you purely as somebody whom they are outsourced a set of things to be done. That makes all the difference.
Exactly. This is the thing that I wanted to avoid as soon as I started Funky Marketing, or as soon as I left the previous company. I didn't want us to be just an outsourced company. I wanted us to own the strategy. And this is how they will respect us. This is how we can actually charge what we are doing, the real price. And basically, that's it. Uh, okay, my friend, is there one thing that you want to say to all the people listening for the end? Did we miss something? I mean, we definitely missed something because I'm going to call you to come in again. But what's for this time that you want to say to the people?
Right. So, yeah, I mean, we will keep continuing the conversations offline as well. But if I have to leave one single message, then I would say that keep refining what you're going after. And your people are not going to, make a fortune out for themselves just purely by renting time. So, keep as much time you can for yourself and minimize a set of things. Anything that you think is outside of the things that you want to do, start delegating that only after you have developed those skill set. Don't delegate work because you don't want to do it. It's because you know it, but you can also manage somebody else doing it. And then eventually, find your ikigai, find your sweet spot. Once you have done that, then life is going to be fun. Otherwise, it's always going to feel like work. And even if you're working for about 6 hours, it's going to feel like 16 hours. So make it the other way around and have fun.
Oh, yeah, that's cool. I don't want to end anything else. We can leave it from here. Thanks, you guys, for listening. And I will keep bringing interesting guests. I think we are all friends talking with all kind of professionals from all areas, from all around the world. And this is the podcast when I want to get good people to tell like their stories and to bring you value.